My brother has always had a fascination with this place. Just a few miles from the now defunct Denbigh Hospital at Carreg Ogham Llanfwrog, where a second hospital slowly yields to nature. He always says that two types of people like to explore these old places: those who wish to experience and appreciate, and those who solely wish to vandalise. He always proudly placed himself as the former, but that doesn't mean he never had a good old-fashioned chase from a security guard in his youth. He once told me a story of how he hid behind a stone from a guard before running off back into the adjacent woods. It was on a leisurely stroll to show me the site for the first time that he pointed out said stone. Little did either of us know that it was actually an ancient standing stone, more than likely from around the 5th century. First discussed by a hero of mine, Edward Llwyd, in the 16th century, the stone was, until recently, one of only a few Ogham stones remaining in situ in northern Wales, most of the rest having been moved to the National Museum in Caerdydd. Only stones found in the west, in Bryncir and Treflis near Morfa Bychan in Gwynedd, remain in the vicinity of their initial standing. Amazingly, Llwyd was unaware that Ogham existed on this particular stone, noticing only the Latin that adorns one of its faces. I say this one was in situ until recently. The consensus is that it was moved from a barrow in Bryn y Beddau called Bedd Emlyn, meaning Emlyn or Amlyn's grave. It's unknown why it was moved. Decoration of Pool Park, preservation, historical interest, who knows. But the story goes that during its 2-mile or so transit, the wagon broke down and locals were certain of an ancient and mystical intervention. It's believed it was moved at the beginning of the 19th century to the grounds of Pool Park Mansion, decades before the building's repurposing as a hospital. Historians from the 18th and 19th centuries are certain that at least one other stone stood with this one in its original place, with others convinced of a third, both now lost. Made from feldspathic sandstone with quartz visible throughout and standing at nearly 5 feet tall, but originally thought to have been closer to 8 feet tall. The fact that the stone includes both Latin and Ogham inscriptions is fascinating, despite not being all that rare outside of Ireland. The Latin inscription reads Avelini Tovisagi. It's more than likely that Tovisagi developed into Tywysog in Welsh, meaning prince, and Taoiseach in Irish, meaning chief or leader. Avelini is almost certainly the Amlyn or Emlyn named at the place of its original location, Bedd Emlyn. With regards to the Ogham inscription, Fisagi is likely the same word, Tovisagi, from the Latin inscription, but with the initial letters illegible due to damage. The Civillino or Suvulino part, however, bears little resemblance to the name in Latin of Amlyn or Emlyn, at least initially. The name Civillino is almost certainly a Brythonic name compared to Civil in Pictish and Hwylyn in Old Welsh. With the letter B in Irish and therefore Ogham rare at this early period, some historians have been led to believe there was an error in carving. It's believed by some that M was the intended lettering, but in early Welsh and early Irish, both B and M could have been pronounced the same way, more like a modern V sound or a the sound. This idea sits better with me, as it is possible, therefore, that the names refer to the same person, Avelin and Thywylyn, being pronounced something like Havelin, a sound far closer to the modern names Amlyn and Emlyn. To the majority of historians who believe the inscribed names refer to different people, the stone must commemorate successive Tovisagi or leaders of the same group of people, perhaps via family or by other means of selecting their chief.